So were you happy when the Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed recently?
Yes, and wanted my job back, wanted reparations, wanted to be made a general, making up for lost time. In the military, I didn't know anybody was gay because we were all hiding it from everybody. But a few years before in college, I knew a student who was gay. And then 50 years later, I'm talking with some alumni, and one of my roommates, because we had a triple room, said he was gay and he was trying to be naked in front of me as much as possible, but I didn't notice because I'm a freshman and trying to hide my gayness, and I never noticed him being any more naked than anybody else. But he went in the Air Force, he got married, he had 4 children. I don't know why you would have 4 children if you knew all along you were gay. And he said he fooled around in high school back in Pennsylvania. But I've never been married. I've never had a fake marriage. I thought you're supposed to be honest and not, even though it's dangerous, and I knew we could be all collected and sent away to some camp somewhere, but I tried to be honest but yet keep hidden.
So what did you do after the Air Force? So you said that was 61?
Yeah. Well, I went to Bible college in Pennsylvania, and my lover Steve Jones that I met here, he also was a gay, born-again evangelical Christian. And my observation, there are a lot of Christians, conservative Christians from all different denominations who are gay. They were born that way, and a number of pastors, gay pastors, who were thrown out of their congregation or they left before they could be discovered. I knew one fellow pastored in Cleveland, Tennessee. He got fired from his church for getting a divorce. But the reason he got the divorce was he was gay, but they didn't go into that because you could also be fired for wearing shorts. The conservative congregation. You couldn't mow your yard wearing shorts in Tennessee. But all the different denominations, they have different approaches of why they're the best group, and all those other people are wrong because they do things we don't do. Having graduated from 2 Bible colleges, I've been observing all the different groups that form and split and reform, and I keep discovering new denominations that are a further split because they have a different take on it, but they're sure they've got the right way to go.
So you mentioned that your thesis is on the subclub.
Yeah.
Can you go into that a little more?
Oh, well, I've read a lot of magazines and newspapers, and I've met all kinds of people. And people seem to open up pretty much to me and tell me lots of things. Sometimes I don't want to hear what they're telling me. They're being honest with me. Because I've rode buses and just went a lot of different places. And so I've been observing what's going on, because back in my first college, people would ask me my opinion, and I didn't want to have one till I studied the issue. And there are lots of issues, so I would go hear people speak, even though I mostly didn't agree with them, and I met communists, atheists, conservatives, all different kinds of people, but I listen and try to pick out the good ideas they have, and something that made common sense, and not get carried away because you lock yourself into a narrow path and you're stuck there. But I've been mailing my opinions out to a variety of people, and all over the country, and I'm working on getting a gay church here in town, because in Nashville we had 5 and that wasn't enough, because the Episcopalians didn't have a church, the gay Episcopalians. The gay Pentecostals didn't have a church, and various other groups of people that have different music, they've got different theology, and they felt real comfortable growing up in their home church and their denomination and their language and traditions. So 5 gay churches in the town wasn't enough. I co-pastored an evangelical gay church in Nashville. We had 3 pastors, and the one was a guy in a wheelchair. I don't remember his technical term, but he was very short, and he had to have an electric wheelchair, and he was an ordained preacher, and he had to have a assistant because he had a lot of limitations, but he was gay. There are gay people who are deaf and sign at the bars in Nashville. You see deaf gay people and all different varieties of gay people. And now we can talk to one another in public and don't have to sneak around.
So how has Urbana shaped your life in regards to sexuality or in general? Because you said your parents have been here, your grandparents.
Yes.
And so it seems to be something that
Well, I grew up a block and a half from the university, and the university brings in all kinds of speakers. So I got to go hear people speak and run up and ask questions afterwards. Sometimes I was a reporter, sometimes it was just on my own to talk to Billy Graham a couple of times, and Eleanor Roosevelt and Carl Sandburg and Buckminster Fuller and all kinds of folks that were right here, or political candidates would come down on the railroad and stop and speak to a big crowd at the train station. And so there was a good bit of political people coming through town running for president. Much of my life seems like every 4 years I have a really big year when there's a general election, and a lot of things happen every 4 years, so I can date things back. When I was 16, I had this strong impression. I was downtown Champaign in front of the W.T. Grant department store, and I had a real strong impression that I should hang in there and that I would do some things important, and that I should just be a survivor. and it wasn't the voice of God, but it was really a strong impression that I should be careful and learn all I could and do things that will make a difference. And it's not like a religious calling, but it's a life calling that I should do things in moderation and have fun, but look before crossing the street. I don't want to get hit by a truck before my time is over with. So
really quickly, is there anything that you were wanting to say that I hadn't asked you before?
well, the progress has been really slow. And a lot of people who worked on gay liberation have died. I've had 36 friends die from AIDS. I've had 4 gay friends murdered. Nice people separately murdered. And within a week or two, in each case, they found the murderers. It's insane. And there have been people murdered who people thought were gay and weren't. A guy thrown off a bridge, but to have 2 boyfriends murdered. One was a student with me at Parkland College, and he went to the University of Washington and got murdered out there. And the 3rd guy was a potential boyfriend. And the 4th murdered gay friend in Nashville, he had been going to Metropolitan Community Church there in Nashville for 22 years. Then he came to our church, Day Spring Christian Fellowship. Those gay people can go to several churches. And so Billy wasn't a boyfriend, but the other 3, I took it pretty personally. They've been murdered for no reason other than being perceived as being gay, which they happen to be, but they shouldn't have been murdered. And 3 of them were strong fundamentalist Christians. They weren't some wild liberal. They were conservative Christians. So
so you mentioned the idea of being gay and like a fundamentalist Christian, and so I know that there's difficulty in straddling both identities. Can you talk about that at all? So within the gay community, it's common that people are not super religious and kind of hypercritical of it, but then within certain religious organizations, they're also critical of homosexuality. So can you talk about what it's like to be straddling both of those?
Well, I knew that I wasn't going to get a job upon finishing Bible college. But I wanted a very deep education, and of course we discussed everything in 4 years of Bible college except that particular issue. But well, I belong to the National Association of Evangelicals, who 3 years ago had their president from Colorado Springs exposed for paying a rent boy to have sex and buying him illegal drugs. And the Colorado preacher was the head of 30 million evangelical Christians and had to resign his job nationally and his church in Colorado Springs. But he was married. He shouldn't have been messing around. But he was hiding his gay side all through his life. And now thinks he's cured and started another church. He shouldn't be doing any church work.
Well, it is now 7. So if there are any last words that you'd like to say, feel free.
Read Jeff Graubart's book, The Quest for Brian. But there's so many new books coming out, it's just opening up. And I love it, that people are coming clean.
Yeah, really quickly, one thing that I read about that book is that it is like a mix of fact and fiction. So, but you said that it's very close to...
Oh, yeah. And in the back, he reveals some of the characters' real names, Susie Orman, and other people that he'd used their novel names during the novel, but it was very dead on. I'm so glad he wrote it.
Yeah, well, thank you very much.
Certainly.